This oscillator isn't just a typical indicator. Believe it or not, it can show you exactly where the big players are making their moves. And what's more, it adapts in real time to the movements of the market. Today, I'm introducing the Kalman Trend Strength Oscillator. There's one simple reason why I decided to test this tool. By the time a regular oscillator gives a signal, the big players have already finished taking their positions. That's why it's too late. But this indicator gives you the heads up just before that happens. Indicator settings. First, let's set up the chart. Currency pair, USD/JP, will be using the 1-hour time frame. The core of AI trading. Uncover hidden trends with Kalman. Is the current trend going to continue, or is it about to end? With the Kalman Trend Strength Oscillator, you can identify the true momentum behind the move. This is a logic that extracts real trends, something that moving averages or RSI simply can't detect. It's based on the Kalman filter, a technique also used in AI-driven trading systems. First, open TradingView, then click on Indicators. Search for Kalman Trend Strength Oscillator and select the one by Mr. Zierman. Once it's added to your chart, it's time to configure it. Change the Kalman model filter to the Parkinson model. This indicator has two major features. First, the Trend Strength Oscillator. It's displayed in green, red, and blue. If it moves significantly above or below the zero line, that indicates a strong trend. When it enters the blue zone, a reversal might be near. Second, the model switching function. In addition to the standard model, it includes a volume-based model and the Parkinson model, which adapts to volatility. You can optimize it according to market conditions. It doesn't predict the future, but it does let you measure current momentum with data. If you're interested, leave a comment saying, "I'm using Kalman." Strategy overview. Let's start by looking at the conditions for a long entry. First, the oscillator should be below the zero line and displayed in red. This indicates that there is downward pressure in the market. Second, when the red turns to green, it's a sign of momentum reversal. In other words, the market is beginning to shift from selling pressure to buying strength. Third, if it remains green and crosses above the zero line, that confirms a trend reversal. And finally, check if the trend strength is rising and above 60%. If you can confirm that large-scale funds are flowing in, all conditions for a long entry are met. Stop loss. After entering a trade, set your stop loss just below the most recent swing low. When volatility is high, it's safer to also refer to the ATR, average true range value. Take profit. Take your profits when the oscillator shifts from green to blue. This is a sign that momentum is slowing down. Next, let's go over the conditions for a short entry. We'll be looking for the opposite signals compared to a long entry. First, the oscillator should be above the zero line and green. This indicates upward momentum in the market. Second, if the green shifts to red, it's a sign that momentum is beginning to reverse. Third, if it stays red and drops below the zero line, that confirms a trend reversal. And finally, check whether the trend strength is above 60% and falling. This is strong evidence that selling pressure is intensifying. When all these conditions are met, you're ready for a short entry. Stop loss. Set your stop loss just above the most recent swing high. The key is to give it a bit of room to avoid getting caught by false wicks. Take profit. Take your profits when the oscillator changes from red to blue. This way, you can manage risk effectively, even with short positions, and lock in solid profits with confidence. Custom algo backtest results. Now, let me show you the backtest results of my custom strategy, the Kalman Trend Strategy. The strategy tested this time is a trend-following model based on the Kalman Adaptive Moving Average, also known as KARMA. However, I wasn't able to replicate the exact same behavior of the original strategy, so I created a custom version that closely mimics its movements for this test. Since it's not a perfect match, if you're interested, I recommend manually verifying it yourself. The test period ran from January 3rd, 2022 to June 4th, 2025. There were a total of 924 trades executed. This strategy is designed to capture long-term trends effectively while also maintaining solid risk control. Now let's take a look at the backtest results. Net profit, plus 1,594.79 USD, plus 53.16%. Maximum drawdown, minus 1,419.73 USD, 31.87%. Win rate, 41.67%, 385 wins out of 924 trades. Average profit per trade, plus 1.73 USD. Average winning trade, plus 42.39 USD. Average losing trade, minus 27.32 USD. Payoff ratio, 1.552. Profit factor, 1.108. Sharp ratio, 0.186. Sortino ratio, 0.312. Largest winning trade, plus 411.54 USD. Largest losing trade, minus 188.64 USD. Buy and hold comparison, plus 744.98 USD, plus 24.83%. Strength highlights. With an average win-loss ratio of 1.552, winning trades consistently yield greater returns than losses. The short side payoff ratio of 1.806 is particularly strong, demonstrating the strategy's effectiveness during market downturns. A win rate above 45% on the long side supports a stable trading structure. The largest loss, minus 188.64 USD, is less than half the size of the largest gain, plus 411.54 USD, showing effective loss containment. Areas for improvement. A win rate of 41.67% is somewhat low. Refining the filtering conditions and improving entry accuracy are key challenges. A profit factor of 1.108 is a bit underwhelming for active deployment. Enhancing the strategy's edge is necessary. The maximum drawdown of 31.87% is rather high. Reviewing capital management rules and adjusting stop-loss criteria are recommended. Both the Sharp ratio and Sortino ratio remain at low levels, indicating room for improvement in risk-adjusted returns. Suggestions for improvement. Optimize entry timing by adjusting gamma parameters. Fast, slow settings. Introduce volatility-based trailing stops to reduce drawdown. Use additional filters such as ADX or Bollinger Bands to eliminate noise trades. Kalman Trend Strategy Summary. The Kalman Trend strategy introduced here is a solid trend-following approach that leverages the strengths of the gamma indicator. We confirmed its advantage through a high payoff ratio and a large number of trades. On the other hand, improving the win rate and refining risk adjustment are areas for future development. Notably, the strategy tends to perform well in short trades, making it a potentially valuable tool in preparing for bearish markets. In today's volatile market environment, this indicator can serve not only as an offensive tool, but also as a defensive strategy.